Hello everybody, it's Mr. Q again. What's up? Hope you guys are staying safe and having fun. Today is video number 2, where we will continue our discussion about Cinco de Mayo, where you will learn at least 10 more things about the Mexican holiday of Cinco de Mayo. The outfit that men wear tends to be a little bit different. A black suit, right? To show off their dancing skills. And so another important part of Cinco de Mayo is dancing. And Mexican folk dancing is called baile folclórico, which means folklore dancing. And one of the most famous of these dances is the jarabe, which means, well, it doesn't mean, but it revolves around a Mexican hat. And so sometimes the sombrero, right? So they refer to this as the Mexican hat dance. And I have a video of the two most popular types of Mexican dancing, one of which being the Mexican hat dance. Let me explain. The Mexican hat dance is a very fun dance that many Mexicans learn at a very young age. And one of the reasons why is because traditionally, in olden times, a boy and a girl would do the dance. And at one point in the dance, the boy would put their hat on the ground. And the boy would kind of chase the girl while dancing around the hat. Why? Because the boy is interested in dating, in being the girl's boyfriend. So they dance around the hat. And if the girl wants to be his girlfriend, she'll pick up the hat. And that will be a symbol to everybody that these two people are now in a relationship. So in old times it was important that you make a public display and show people that you guys are in a relationship with each other. And you started off in a fun way by dancing with each other. And when they're dancing, there's oftentimes music. And music played for traditional Mexican dancing is called Mariachi music. And you usually have a guitar, somebody singing, playing a guitar. And if it's a mariachi band, then you might have some people playing some trumpets and maybe some small little drums. And so they will sing the song and then they will dance. And many Mexicans, in fact, anybody really of Latin blood, coming from people who come from Spain originally, love to dance.
This is a typical mariachi singer with his guitar as he sings. Look how beautiful these dresses are, and you can see how they are so big you can wave them around and they're so flowing. Here are some more beautiful dresses being waved around as they dance. The next video is the actual Mexican hat dance. Here's Bubba and Sissy and I dancing to some mariachi music.
En esta tierra de sol que dicen Cuba se llama.
So, let me talk about my favorite part of any Western holiday, including Cinco de Mayo. What part do you think that is? Yes, it's the food. I love the food, of course, of every Western holiday, and Cinco de Mayo is no different. So we have Mexican food, obviously, right? And so you will start with appetizers. And most Mexican food appetizers revolve around tortilla chips. It's kind of like potato chips, right? Except potatoes are used for potato chips, and tortillas and flour is used for tortilla chips. So they're basically the same thing. They just different consistency, a different flavor. So chips, big part of having a Mexican meal. And you don't just eat the chips by themselves. You have to put something on the chips. And so many people will use salsa. And what is salsa? Well, it's basically a sauce made from cutting up and maybe blending up tomatoes, onions, something spicy, maybe jalapenos or chilies, and you can put some other spices in it as well, depending on your flavor. And you can eat the salsa with your chips. You can also make one of my favorite and one of my personal dishes that I love to make called guacamole. Yeah, it sounds funny, but it's very delicious. You make it with avocados. And you can use the guacamole as a dip for your chips. And there's another very interesting appetizer that people like to make for their Mexican meals called a 7-layer dip. Or, I guess, it could be, the number doesn't really matter. It just depends on how many layers are in your dip. So, first layer, usually beans of some kind, refried beans. Second layer will be guacamole. Third layer, you can also have a layer of rice at the bottom if you want. Mexican rice is a little different than rice you might be experienced with, because it's not just white rice. They put some spices and tomato sauce with it, and so it's orange looking and it has a little bit spicy flavor to it. The fourth layer is sour cream. The fifth layer is cheese. And a sixth layer could be salsa. And you could have a seventh layer of olives. So you can add as many layers as you want. It could be more than 7 layers, or it could be less. You could just have 3 layers or 5 layers. It doesn't matter. Whatever your preference is for this dip. And then, of course, once again, you'll eat it with chips.
There are many types of salsa. Some are more liquidy than others, but they're all made with tomatoes and onions and something to make it spicy. Here's some guacamole. You can see some onions and tomatoes that have been put into it.
Refried beans is an important part of almost every Mexican meal. Or just, it doesn't have to be refried. They could be whole beans also. So you have some pinto beans, like a brown hard bean. You have to soak this bean to make it soft, and then you can cook it. And so people like to eat these beans. It takes a while to soak and make them soft, but they're easy to work with when it comes to making things. So people use beans as well as part of the appetizers and as part of your main meal.
7-layer dip. You can see how the bottom layer is beans, and then guacamole, and sour cream, then salsa, then cheese, and then some miscellaneous stuff on top. So that's 5 layers.
Then people will eat their main course. So the main food people like to eat, especially on Cinco de Mayo, might be tacos. They could be hard tacos or soft tacos. So the difference is hard tacos are crunchy, and they're made with a hard tortilla or corn tortilla. Corn tortillas are harder, and you have flour tortillas, which are softer. And they just fold up like this. And then you can put any kind of delicious stuff inside of it. So you might put hamburger meat, you might put chicken, you could put seafood, like fish or shrimp, and then put some stuff on top of that, like lettuce and tomatoes and onions, and you could put some salsa on it if you want. But sometimes salsa can be too watery. So you want something drier that's like salsa. So they have made something called pico de gallo. Pico de gallo is a salsa basically, except it's not watery like salsa. So you can put it into your taco or whatever, and it doesn't make it soggy. So other people enjoy having burritos, which is a flour tortilla. You put a bunch of stuff in the middle of it, and you fold it up and make it round, and you can eat it. And other people like taquitos, which are tacos basically that have been folded up, rolled up, and then fried. Oh, so delicious. Some of my favorite. I love that. Or enchiladas, which you put a tortilla, a flat tortilla, and then you put some stuff in between the tortillas, like meat and cheese and stuff. Of course, there's many different foods that the Mexicans have made famous and are very delicious. Those are just some of the more popular ones for the main dishes.
Check out these delicious shrimp tacos. And here's some hard tacos that you can see there. And here's a burrito on the right and an enchilada on the left. And here are some of my favorite taquitos.
And of course, we need to have a dessert. In New Mexico, where I am, we love to have something called a sopapilla. Basically, it's a fried puff pastry thing. And when you fry it, it puffs up. There's nothing inside of it, but we like to poke a hole in the top of it and then pour some honey inside. It's delicious. But there's also formal desserts that you could have, like flan. Flan is like a custard that you can have. There's another famous dessert called tres leches, which is Spanish for 3 milks. Tres, 3, leches, milk. So a 3 milk cake, tres leches cake. Very delicious. Yes, of course, these desserts are sweet. The sopapilla is a little less traditional because sometimes people like to get a sopapilla, don't put honey in it, but they'll use it like bread to eat their main meal. So that's why it's a little less traditional. But all three are very famous desserts for people to eat with their Mexican food.
These are sopapillas. These sopapillas have cinnamon and sugar on top as well as the honey. Here's some flan, that custard-like dessert, and tres leches.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed learning about Cinco de Mayo in this part 2 of our 2-part video lesson. We talked about how Mexicans love music and they love to dance. The music of the locals is usually referred to as mariachi music, with somebody who sings and plays a guitar. Maybe there'll be some trumpets, maybe some other instruments, but always a singer with a guitar. We talked about how the local Mexican dance is referred to as baile folclorio, and that means folklore dancing, baile folklorico, and that one of the more famous of these dances is the jarabe, which is the Mexican hat dance, and how this is a courting dance. This is a dance where a boy asks a girl to be in a relationship with him. And at the end, either the girl says yes and picks up the hat, or says no and doesn't. And of course, we talked about the delicious foods of Cinco de Mayo. The appetizers with the salsa and guacamole and 7-layer dip. And we talked about the rice and the beans that are traditional for all Mexican dishes. And we talked about the pico de gallo, which is like a waterless salsa that you can put on tacos and other delicious foods like enchiladas and burritos and taquitos. And of course, don't forget about dessert. Either the sopapilla with honey, or flan, the custard dessert, or the tres leches, the 3 milk cake. It's very delicious, guys. So, because you guys have enjoyed learning about Cinco de Mayo, I want you guys to be thinking about a holiday where you get to dance. A holiday where you get to have delicious foods. So they might be the same holiday. If not, that's okay too. Pick out your favorite holiday where you get to dance and sing, or where you get to have delicious food. Write it down. Write 10 sentences about your favorite holiday and whether or not it's a dancing and singing holiday or it's an eating holiday. When you're finished with that, share it with your classmates. Alright guys, that's it for me today. We'll see you next time. Stay safe and keep having fun. Bye-bye.